Yeah, most people they don't know how a recording Diddy
I'm
not being able to,
I'm sorry, you
or
broke up a little
not
bit. I
saying not
couldn't
being
hear
able,
you.
but Diddy not paying Biggie correctly. Diddy not paying all of his artists on Bad Boy, as far as them saying that, hey, he was shining and all the all the artists were not winning. Craig Mack, his wife saying like, hey, we were broke technically, and he had a number one record. How does
No,
the average recording contract work? Like an average recording contract where someone like a Diddy comes with, hey, we're signing you to Bad Boy. How does an advance work? How does the recoupment work? For those that don't know.
first things first. How it should work is you should have a lawyer that's working in your best interest. That's number one. I mean, my first attorney before I switched over to a Jewish attorney, Brad Rubin, I was using James Elam, who was African American, and James Elam and I fought for everything that we could get because they work very hard to keep it from you. They work very hard to keep everything from you, to keep every dollar from you, to get over on you as much as possible. That's why you need to have some kind of understanding of entertainment law, or make sure you have a lawyer that's proficient in it and that speaks it fluently. Everyone knew those bad boy contracts were terrible. Everyone knew they were getting screwed over. What they were hoping for was that they were going to be able to make it to the next phase of something where they would finally get something. Like it's all a carrot being dangled. Did you not hear what Bab said? That was probably the goofiest commentary that I heard in that entire, I took it to my lawyer and my lawyer went over and he said, well, they're offering you fame, but they're just not offering you fame and fortune. The lawyer literally sat there and said to her, if you sign this contract, the only thing you're going to be is famous. You're going to get robbed. And she said, I signed it anyway. It's bad boy.
Yeah, that was wild.
That's beyond wild.
She only had 24 hours to sign. Like
That's
him.
beyond wild. That's beyond wild. Like you literally were told you're going to get robbed if you sign this thing, and she signed it anyway for the fame. And now she just spends her time with YouTubers trolling. Kind of like Roxanne. Roxanne Mack Johnson, Craig Mack's widow, because she was still legally married to him when he passed away. Did you know she's a YouTuber as well?
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I thought it was so interesting that they had her in there. I mean, the reference in which they put her in there, I guess, it made sense for her to be talking about it because of what they were talking about. That I didn't have a problem with. The question is did anybody not bother? Because they could have went to a bunch of other people to got that same information. Like this is a woman. Did that woman? Ooh. You know she came after me, right?
I didn't know that this is Craig Mack's widow.
Yeah.
So
They
technically
put
she.
ex-wife, but she's actually his widow. That's how she was able to get her hands on what royalties she could after he passed away, and she was finally able to get her children back because she had lost custody of her children to him. Yeah.
Yeah, it was her, and then I believe Tisa Tells. I was interested that they put
Yeah,
them
that they
on the
were
dock.
included. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was kind of wild. That was kind of wild. It was just so funny because I'll never forget when Roxanne first was hunting me down on behalf of the troll farm. She couldn't get to me because I wasn't responding to any of her messages. She had been trying to get to me, trying to get to me. She kept trying to buy her way into my life, pay her way into my life, sending me money, trying to like sending $1,000 cash apps. Then she started going through Nosy Ho Live. because she wanted me to come forward with a story. Guess what the story was?
Shoot.
Do you
Shoot.
want to know?
Yeah, shoot.
Okay. So, allegedly, according to Roxanne Mack Johnson, and by the way, the name Johnson, she married a cop in Chicago. It's funny, a police officer's wife, also a YouTuber, running around selling wild stories and selling wild tales. Um, Allegedly, back before she married Craig Mack, she was sleeping with Kid from Kid and Play. She was also sleeping with their DJ. Apparently, she slept with everybody in the group except for the brown skin, Chris. Um, and she was visiting with him while he was in town for a show in Chicago. Or she was supposed, they went to a meet and greet and they were supposed to meet up to hook up later that night at a hotel. And her friends went to the hotel. This is all Roxanne Mack Johnson's story. Um, they went to the hotel and Kid never came. But Steve Stout, she alleged that Steve Stout and a few other people in the security guard, they all came to party with her and her friends. And they had a full tray of tequila shots, which allegedly she said had been pharmaceutical up. They've been dosed. And her and her friends were drinking and they all passed out. And she believed that they had been raped. And she wanted me to run with her story online and advocate for her. But she didn't want to come forward. She wanted me to come forward with her story, but keep her as a Jane Doe. And the information that she was giving me was going to be enough to trigger Steve Stout to want to settle with her because she had a lawsuit that she was planning on putting on him for $2 million. And she was going to cut me in and make sure that I got paid, me and Nosy whole life. And I told her I can't go forward with this. And if you really want justice for your story, if any of this is true, you need to come forward and you need to tell people your story. Because if what you're saying is that Kid from Kid and Play sets you up with his manager at the time, Steve Stout, who's also mentioned in the documentary as a Diddy victim, how Diddy beat the crap out of him and how he begged for the authorities to drop all of the charges because he got paid 500,000. A grown man comes and beats the crap out of you, and that's all it took was 500,000 to get you to heal up. And as you know, him and Diddy, they've been cool ever since. Him, Diddy, the Jigga Man. That was another thing I thought that was interesting, that Jay-Z wasn't mentioned at all in any of this documentary. Yet
Not at
he was
all.
there for so much of it. Because right after the diddler beat the crap out of Steve Stout, the Jigga Man poked up on Rivera. Not long after that. All of this stuff happened around the same time.
Why do you think Jay Z wasn't involved in none of this?
Well, I mean, he was involved in a lot of it. You mean why wasn't he mentioned?
Yeah, mentioned in the documentary at all.
I mean, there was a lot of people that weren't mentioned. Matter of fact, not too many people in the industry were mentioned who were there and present. Isn't that cute?
Very true.
They found a way to tell that story while they kept everybody else clean.
Jag, how come you don't think
Episode
funk?
2 focused heavily on Tupac Shakur and the
Yeah,
East Coast West Coast beef.
yeah.
They were saying that Diddy was technically jealous of Tupac and Biggie's friendship, of Tupac's success.
Technically,
Yeah,
technically,
technically.
I mean, they said it right. Diddy wanted to get down with Tupac. Tupac didn't want to have nothing to do with it. Nothing. He wanted nothing to do with Diddy. He was interested in helping Biggie. He was interested in promoting Biggie. He was interested in where that whole thing could go. He saw the promise. And I think he knew that Biggie was being taken advantage of. I think he knew that. But it was too late. He was already bought and paid for. It was good though for them to, highlight that one a little bit of history that, you know, Biggie was actually signed to Uptown. He was an Uptown artist first.
Yeah, coming after Heavy D.
And then how all they had was him to start Bad Boy, but they knew that it wasn't going to work. They were going to go out of business first. So they went and they got Craig Mack so that he could be the launch. And then boom, you see what happened with that.
Exactly.
It was all a setup. It was all a setup. It was all a plan. It was all a ploy. Um, you know, I don't think Diddy ever thought that Andre was going to fire him. I think he thought that because of the closeness of their relationship and how much Andre relied on him for so many things when it came to pop culture and the youth and bringing in the young people. I think he thought that you know, he was always going to stick around. So, like, when he had to move around the way he moved around, he went, he went helter skelter for real, for real. And the truth is he had so much information. And when you look at the way he went to Clive, that was another thing that I thought was interesting. Clive was mentioned for all of 35 seconds.
Right.
Like they kept so much, like it was very sanitary, very sanitary.
What should they have said about how much more should Clive have been involved in that story, you feel?
What do you mean? He should have been involved in it a lot more. But then again, you start talking about Clive and you start talking about how Clive backed Diddy. Like people keep forgetting that Clive was 51% owner of Bad Boy.
Oh yeah.
Like there's a lot that's not being discussed or talked about when it comes to the financial breakdown on a lot of things. But you start having those conversations and then you kind of got to talk about the fact that, Whitney Houston passed away at the Grammy party and then all of the stuff with Ray J and Brandy and Diddy being the one to give the speech for Whitney at the party. Like, why?
That's
Why?
true.